from the new recording lair located deep beneath the Wine and Spirit store in Ephrata, Pennsylvania.
You're listening to the Masonic Light Podcast.
Studio 665 presents Masonic Light Podcast. This show is recorded by Masons, for Masons, and is for entertainment purposes only. And please, no wagering.
This podcast is not endorsed by any Grand Lodge, and the ridiculous ramblings of the hosts are their own. And now, here's your host.
What's up? Hey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Masonic Light Podcast, episode 73.
73.
63. And we have a special guest tonight in studio. We have Brother Todd Hoak from Ephrata Lodge, number 665. We
found him. He was lost. We just brought him in.
It's convenient because, you know, he's 2 floors up and we just went up and got him. But we're going to talk to Todd today about a successful meeting he had last night with the George Washington Bible. But before that, let's go around the room. Larry.
Yo.
We're going counterclockwise today.
Wake up, Larry.
So what have you been up to since our last recording?
I don't know.
Larry, you're supposed to talk in that end of the microphone, not the side.
Yeah, I'm talking in the end of the microphone, Pete. Oh, by the way, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday, you old... Okay.
Geezer. 50.
50.
Wow.
50.
How the heck did you get to 50?
And I'm still the second youngest on the show.
I've got shoes that are that old.
You kids with your podcasts. So, Larry, have you done anything?
Yeah, a few things, but I can't remember.
Okay.
See, when you get to be at my age, you can forget easily.
Who?
Oh?
Huh? Something happened?
Tim. Where have you been? Oh, you got a promotion?
That's what one's in the making, at least, as I understand it. But, you know, I missed one episode, and everybody's like, Tim's retired. Where's Tim? I was at my daughter's spring recital during our last episode, but it was great.
Not only that, we didn't hear from you for 2 weeks.
Well,
what did she
actually,
recite?
If you check the group
What did she
chat,
recite?
She recited her viola.
Oh,
in
okay.
the, Central Dauphin Youth Orchestra.
Did she do good?
She did wonderful.
Oh,
Now,
awesome.
Larry, Superman does good. She did well.
She did well.
Oh,
Yes.
look at you.
She
There
did
we
very
go.
well. Significant from a Masonic standpoint, Eureka West Shore Lodge, number 302 in Mechanicsburg, has had a flurry, unfortunately, of deaths this year. We have had 17 deaths in our lodge, and so I have...
Are they anti-vaxxers or what's going on?
No, it's just, you know... Most of them, we have 49.5% of our membership, at least as of the beginning of the year, were over the age of 70. And so just the natural events, obviously.
Wait a minute. Are we going to have like a measles meeting?
Yeah, right. We need a vaccine here.
This is your stated measles.
Right. But anyway, so
Consumption?
we've been doing a lot. In all seriousness, a lot of Masonic funerals. And it's unfortunate that with an aging fraternity.
Well, how many? No,
we have a lot of
but
those
okay,
seriously.
joke.
I hope you know
How
you're
many
not
members
making me
does your
feel
lodge
really good.
have? You're what, 700 members? Or
Yeah, we have 712 members, and we've had 17 deaths this year. It's the most. I was master 5 years ago, and we had 5 the entire year.
So you've had 2.5% loss.
So So it's
Larry
that's-
doing math.
That's not bad.
and a couple of folks that were frankly way too young. I mean, not that anyone's too young to pass, but we had some in their 50s, 2 recently in their 50s that passed, and those were very difficult for those of us in the fraternity.
Pete just saw the Reaper walk by the window.
on my 50th birthday, thanks for that.
Yeah, exactly. Make you feel better. But anyway, it reminds me that as Masons, you know, Masonic funerals are one of the few public things that we do, and it has opened the fraternity to a lot of folks who normally don't get to see the fraternity. We've gotten a lot of comments from family members and from people in the community about the Masonic service, and in the end, I mean, at the same time we had 17 deaths, we've also had 9 petitions this year. So while it's not a total balance, we're at least doing it on the other end as well.
You're
So,
still 8 behind.
yeah, we're still 8 behind for the year.
We're doing it on the other end, Pete. What do you have to say about that?
Just slapping water over there.
So anyway, sorry to get us off track.
So, Todd, other than last night's activities, because we'll go into depth about that, what else have you been up to Masonically in the past couple weeks?
Masonically, been pretty busy, and being involved in Scottish Rites also. We're getting ready for the spring reunions, also, and York Rite. So, and we're doing degrees there at this time. So, definitely the fraternity keeps me busy, running around at least 3-4 nights a week. But it's what I love to do, so it's worth every minute of it.
Todd's actually in all 32 degrees at the next reunion. He's in all of them. Yeah.
Not quite that many, but I'd say
another
31.
proud member of the Valley of Reading.
I am.
There we go.
Amen.
Thank
Amen.
you.
So do you have a quorum here?
Yeah, we do, don't we?
Jack, what have you been doing?
What have I done? I think since the last recording, I had a grotto meeting. I think it was since then, and that went well.
That was our ceremonial, which I think you did a great job.
No one was killed or maimed, so that was great. We have had a
Except for that prime
Last
rib.
podcast.
Yeah, because I remember talking about congratulating Andy Sterling on a great job. So
Yeah, we
did
talked
talk
about that the last time.
So other than that, I've been in a Masonic coma since then. But I do have some York Rite work coming up, and just supporting Todd in the Blue Lodge. I'm steward, so they lock me in the basement and make me feed people. So that's all I do here.
Do more than
But
that,
I
Jack.
will say, though, in reference to Tim's comment about the Masonic funeral service, about a month ago, maybe a little more than a month ago, we had a Masonic funeral service for a brother, John Weaver, who was very active in the community in Denver, Pennsylvania. And 2 of his sons turned in petitions immediately after the funeral service.
Oh, wow.
And they will be receiving their first degrees tomorrow after this
awesome.
recording.
His father was actually the first line signer of their petition.
Oh, wow.
He signed
their petitions
before
and
he
passed away.
Wow.
And
So we looked up the signature of his father in the secretary record, so we can show them whenever we enter them tomorrow night.
Oh wow,
it's very cool.
That's really cool.
that is cool.
But that is how powerful that funeral service can be.
Yeah, I was in a. I filled in as senior warden for one a couple weeks ago. That was a gentleman was from Kentucky, but moved here like 30, 40 years ago, and was never active in the Masons in Pennsylvania. But he was an elderly gentleman, and there's probably only about 10 or 15 family members there, but there was 8 Masonic brothers that never met the guy. But
Right.
we gave him a funeral.
Right.
And it was nice.
And
Let me just say, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a Freemason, let your family know that you want a Masonic service.
yeah, your family, not your brothers,
You're
not,
right,
not the people
exactly.
in line.
Let your family members know. It literally only requires an ask from the family. You can tell the funeral director at the time of passing that my loved one wanted a Masonic service, and in most cases, that funeral home knows who the area lodge is that they should reach out to. And we have never, in Eureka West Shore, turned down an opportunity to provide a Masonic service to anyone, whether they're a member or someone who just lives in the area and needs a Masonic service. Since I've retired, I have really tried to make it a point, particularly during the day, if there's a service during the day, to try to get to as many of those as I can.
And a small aside to that, make sure your pastor knows.
Yes.
Because when John was sick, and everybody kind of sort of knew what was going to happen, and he was arranging his affairs, and he said, I want a Masonic funeral, and I want it at my church. Here's my church. And the family reached out to us and said, can you do this? And I told them, well, we will be there, but your church isn't real happy with Freemasonry in general. So just
Have that talk.
And they said, oh, Dad's on the board. So
Yeah.
so that happened, and it opened a door for us, and the pastor was very magnanimous about it, and he said, this is really a beautiful service, and I don't know why we haven't allowed this in the past, but they did, and I think they will in the future. So,
and any clergy that might think they have a concern about it
can just come to see one.
Can have either come to see one or call up one of the local officers, and literally it's public, it's written.
Right.
They can actually see what we do at those things, and I cannot imagine any clergy having a problem once they actually see what goes on there, having a problem with it.
Josh, speaking of funerals,
Yeah, bring us out of this depressing conversation.
What does that mean?
What?
The only thing I did was attend our stated meeting.
Attaboy, well done.
Hey.
I missed it.
You did.
He wasn't going to say that, Larry.
Shocking.
Larry, you're really contributing so much to Lamberton Lodge. All right, let's take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk to Brother Todd Hoak about how to pack your lodge full of
Guys.
Masons.
People.
There you go.
At the Historic Smithton Inn of Ephrata, Pennsylvania, we're pleased to serve the latest creations from Weathered Vineyard Winery, along with spirits from Thistlefinch Distillery in Lancaster, all to be experienced in the tasting room of a beautifully restored 18th century bed and breakfast. Cigars by D&S Cigar are available for your enjoyment in the courtyard. The Historic Smithton Inn is convenient to Lancaster County's most interesting attractions. Just minutes from the Ephrata Cloister and the Green Dragon Farmers Market, and a short drive can get you to charming Lidditz, thriving downtown Lancaster, as well as Hershey, Bird in Hand, and Intercourse, or Valley Forge and Gettysburg. Whether you're looking for a romantic getaway or an active vacation full of sightseeing and attractions, the Historic Smithton Inn will be a welcoming oasis from everyday life, one that you'll want to visit again and again. Stop in and visit at 900 West Main Street in Ephrata, Pennsylvania, or check out our website at historicsmithtoninn.com, or simply call us at 717-733-6094. Just ask for Past Master Dave.
And we're back with Worshipful Master Todd Hoak of Ephrata Lodge number 665. And Todd is still sort of in a fog from the most excellent stated meeting that I've been to, maybe in my Masonic career.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's high praise.
It was awesome. And what happened was about a year and a half ago, Todd decided he was going to do something special his year, and he did it. And we've talked a couple of times in a couple of episodes about how to plan things for your lodge. And the fact that Todd is still surviving after yesterday, we're gonna just kind of pick Todd's brain about how he did it, how he got it done, and how you might be able to apply these ideas in your lodge. Because if you want your lodge to be different, Pete, what's the word? Be the change, right? Be the change. That's it. So, Todd, tell us a little bit about what this event was and how it got started in your mind.
Well, last night we had the privilege of viewing George Washington's Obligation Bible for Freemasonry. He took all 3 of his degrees on it, and whenever going through the line, I was probably junior warden, getting ready to go to senior warden, and everyone always tells you start planning. So
wait.
But you actually did.
Start planning your year as junior warden. Step 1. Okay. Mark that down.
So a brother came to me and asked if I'd ever heard of the George Washington Obligation Bible, which at that time I did not. And so I looked it up, researched it a little bit, and came upon the website of Fredericksburg Lodge in Virginia. And it sounded like a great idea, but as to get the Bible here, there is a cost to it. And the cost is $2,000 for them to transport the Bible. It is historic treasure. It's a Masonic treasure. It's a national treasure. So it's understandable that there is cost involved. And that's Larry over there, of course.
Yeah, of course.
Breaking news: UVA just won the Final Four.
So the more I thought about it, I wanted to at least have. I know we have Lodge in the Woods this year, which we can plug at any time. It's September 18th, by the way, Wednesday.
Tickets are available.
Tickets are available for $30 on Eventbrite. Also, there was something else, something special I wanted to do, but I wanted to do it for our 50-year members. Due to the fact that these guys, they're the foundation of the lodge. And a lot of these guys have never seen a full lodge in their 50 years. So what can we do?
That's absolutely correct.
What can we do to make that night special? And to look at their faces last night, they didn't have much to say, which I was very surprised.
Nothing. They all had nothing to say. That's right.
But as we had them in the east of the lodge, just looking at their faces, they're looking around, and that made the night worthwhile. Just to see them, over 100 people, technically at a stated meeting. So it was just an awesome night. We can get in. I can really get into detail if you would like what we had to go through.
And we'll get into that just after I get to say the thing that I wanted to say, and that is that for me, probably the coolest part of the whole evening was
The podcast guys that were down here?
The podcast guys that were in... No, sorry. My brain was hijacked for a minute. No, when we were opening the lodge, and as most of you know, we have a flag ceremony at the beginning of the lodge meeting, and we sing in this lodge the first stanza of the national anthem. And I have never heard it that way before. In a small lodge room, it's about 30 by 75 square feet in dimension, with 110 plus people in the lodge, all of whom were singing this national anthem and
from the heart,
and knew exactly what those words meant, and they were singing it like they meant it. And I'm telling you what, guys, it was chilling to hear that song. And when it was done, without a doubt, as awesome as the rest of the night was, that for me was the highlight of the whole thing, was just to hear that song.
Not only singing the national anthem, but having George Washington's Bible on the altar
while we're singing the national anthem.
Singing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Just every aspect of it was absolutely cool. Yeah.
And I thought it was really cool also that they were very accepting in letting us open the lodge and putting the tools on the George Washington Bible. It was on the case, but yet to be able to open a lodge with that Bible, it was just unbelievable.
Yes.
I didn't think that was going to be possible.
Before the lodge, it wasn't. There was all kinds of stuff on the
Bible. A $20 bill went in this pocket, and then we got.
It was just so. It was so cool. When the senior master went up and knelt down and started breaking out the tools, I'm like, "Where's our Bible? Our Bible's not on that altar. Where's our Bible? What? Oh my God! What is he doing? What is he? Oh my God! He's really doing that?
We've never done it this way before.
Well, there was a little bit of that. Yeah. So okay, you're junior warden. You have an idea. What next? How do you plan? And what I'm trying to get at is how can people plan cool events and pull them off in general, and then specifically this, and we're going to give you guys an opportunity. We're going to give you the website and how to contact Fredericksburg Lodge number 4 to if you want to bring this in yourself. But tell us a little bit about what went into pulling this off.
Well, when finally decided that I thought it'd be a great idea to do, I'm a type of person that I ask for a lot of advice and then come to my own conclusions. So basically, my year as junior warden was me asking advice. What do you guys think of this event? Do you think it's a good idea? Can the lodge afford it? Can I put this in my budget? It wasn't until I was senior warden until I contacted Fredericksburg Lodge. So it started off with just a basic email to them. I explained why I would like for them to come up, the importance of the Bible, I felt, and the importance of being on the district deputy's visitation and giving and recognizing our 50-year members. So they got back a hold of me very quickly. Their secretary did, which I was surprised, but it was awesome because they were very easy to work with. So that was just the first step. So this actually began when I started communicating with their lodge was the first week of September of last year is where we really started communicating and trying to figure this out and how we can do it. So the email was the initial step. Then once they got my email, they responded back. We had to send a letter, an official letter to the lodge in Fredericksburg and explain in detail what we were going to do at our meeting and why we thought it would be great to have it here. Once they received that letter, they read it at a stated meeting of their lodge. It gets held over for a month, and then it gets voted on.
So how nervous were you while it was being held over?
I was very nervous because I had already, when I sent the letter, my year was almost completely planned, except this one gaping hole. And it's a big one. And if this didn't fall through in any way, there goes my April meeting.
Then you'd have to have Larry show up and fumble through some notes, take a nap.
I've been to fill in a lot.
I think a significant point, though, is you connected it to something that was already significant for your lodge, which was an official visit and a recognition of your 50, 60, 70 year members, which is something that happens on a regular basis in lodges.
Yes.
But you really kind of upped the ante.
Took it to the next level.
You took it to the next level on that particular meeting.
Yeah.
And I think that's significant for our listeners to think about as you're perhaps considering this, to connect some of the regular things that happen in your lodge. I think should not be lost in this conversation.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to say that the district deputy visitation and the 50-year members, which we do every year, is not a great event prior.
Right.
But I wanted to do something more.
Yeah.
And we usually have a good turnout at that point. And if anybody, any master or incoming master can do anything to increase that, it just takes a little bit of a time and effort to do that. And as much as I love Freemasonry, and whoever's going through the chair should love it as much as I do, you all do, it's not really that big of an effort. And to see the lodge that full, and for those guys, it was worth every minute that I put into to try to get this established.
That's amazing. Talk to us about what happened. Okay, once you got we're coming. Things laid over. Now we're coming. Talk about how you shared it with others. You talk both within your lodge and external to your lodge, because you had a huge response to once you got this confirmed.
Once it was confirmed that they were coming, I was trying to keep it quiet because just in case something fell through. And I didn't want it to say, hey, these guys are coming up with this, and whatever happened, it didn't happen. But I kept it quiet for a while. Then once I found out that it was approved and they were coming up, I wanted to keep it within our lodge primarily at first. And the reason why I wanted that, because I wanted it, first and foremost, I'm the master of Ephrata Lodge. My main job is to take care of our members and serve them. And that's just how I take the way the master is. Jack keeps messing with my mic.
You're fine. You're doing fine.
And so the first couple months, I didn't advertise. If we advertised this, we probably would have had to go to a different venue. And I didn't want to put that burden on the lodge.
Or the stewards.
Or the stewards, who did a great job, by the way.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And so I tried to keep it for our members primarily at first. And I wanted to give them the first chance to be here. Then once it was getting closer, then Brother Jack helped me set up an Eventbrite page. And then we started advertising it throughout the district and beyond. And actually, word of mouth, it was the biggest thing. As soon as it came out, people were telling me there's people from all over the state asking about this meeting.
We actually had to close the reservations.
Yeah, that
we
was
did.
the point. Was that
was awesome.
You literally filled the venue. You ran out of reservation space on the Eventbrite thing.
We ran out of reservations, I think, 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
2 weeks prior to it.
Were you planning on coming, Tim?
Well, as soon as Jack posted that, I had heard this was kind of in the making, and it was something that I obviously thought that was really cool. And when Jack posted that on Eventbrite, which I knew you really wanted to try to take care of your own folks first, and I totally respected that. I looked at my calendar, and had I not already had an event that had been planned months in advance, I would have been here last night. But I thought the way you led up to this from a public perspective, or someone not a member of Ephrata Lodge, I was just really impressed with all that you did to not only plan the event, but to share it among the Masonic community writ large.
Thank you.
And the fact that you had to close off reservations and say, sorry, we're full, was impressive.
Were you planning on coming?
I seriously had planned to come.
We hadn't heard from you in 2 weeks. That's
All
why.
right, lady. Okay, I was at my daughter's recital.
Oh, my God.
Oh, goodness.
So, Todd, looking at the visitors book, how far did visitors come from? I heard a couple guys from up Tower City and some.
There was
Valley View. Yeah.
I didn't actually. I looked at the names. I was curious, but I know from Kennett Lodge was here. Up in Bradford.
Shout out to Brother Justin, who was here from Valley Lodge up in Schuylkill County, I think.
Big listener.
Yeah, big fan.
So, I'm not positive. And
he's not a Patreon yet, though.
We got to work on that.
I don't know, maybe.
And I kind of feel bad. I tried to at least say hi to everyone, speak to everyone, where you coming from. But it was so crazy by the end of the meeting that I talked to so many people. In all honesty, I can't remember where they all told me what lodge they were from.
So what were some of the things that you felt like, wow, I'm really glad I thought of this before this thing happened? What were some of the big things that were like, wow, I really need to take care of this? Just a couple of points.
As far as getting it organized?
Yeah, after you pull the trigger and the bullet is on its way out the gun, what were you thinking about? What do we need to do?
Mainly is you got to continue to follow up.
Todd, we'll hold it right there, and we'll talk a little bit more about following up after these break. Wait. After these minutes, breaks, something.
Take two.
Smooth.
It's better when I screw up.
Take two.
Why choose George J. Grove & Sons for your next home improvement project? At George J. Grove & Sons, we've built our reputation on quality and trust for more than 50 years. From planning to materials to installation, George J. Grove promises a home improvement experience second to none. Whether your goal is reducing energy costs, decreasing maintenance, updating curb appeal, or simply increasing the value of your home, the George J. Grove team will recommend and provide solutions that stand the test of time. Call 717-393-0859 for an estimate or visit us at georgejgrove.com.
Masonic Light Podcast. This is past Master Moyer calling. I just finished listening to episode 68. I know I'm still struggling to catch up. Anyway, excellent guest, Jim Stevens. If I learn anything from his book, it's that there are many leadership opportunities in our fraternity, especially for those who have never served in a leadership role. Never really looked at the fraternity that way, but he hit it square on the nail. And it's quite evident that Tim Dedmon is the smartest one in the group because he pretty much asked all the questions of Jim. The rest, well, Pete did ask a couple questions, but basically Maris and Lewis fell asleep. And I'll finish up by my usual critique of Larry Maris. Great job for getting to do the introductory bio for Jim. And when we announce a lodge number, it's not Ephrata Lodge 665, it's Ephrata Lodge number 665. And here's the biggest boner you pulled. It's not entrepreneur, it's an entrepreneur. You are such a putz, Maris. I'll be back shortly. When I say shortly, maybe in a couple more days. Got to listen to episode 69. Talk to you later. Bye.
And we're back from wherever it was we were. Thanks, Pete, for taking us out on that last break. So Todd, you were talking about follow-up. Tell what kind of follow-up were you talking about? What did you need to do? Who did you need to follow up with? And just kind of tie a ribbon around this, because I know how nervous I was when I was doing stuff when I was in the East. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, as far as the follow-up, it's just, yes, it was approved, but it's all the fine details that you have to follow up on. As far as where you're going to put them up to stay, who's going to be here, how many people are going to be here. And when we were talking a few minutes ago, there was no question that a couple weeks out, I was definitely freaking out about it because I didn't know what to do. We were getting so many reservations in. If we ran out of room, I didn't really want to turn people down, but you got no but you don't have a choice at some point. So I was definitely on edge for the last few weeks.
No, you look like the picture of calm the entire time that I was prying your hand off the gavel. Yeah.
Right. And actually, I did call Brother Jack one day, and I was asking a bunch of questions, things going through my mind. Should we live stream it down into our social hall if we have overfill? What do I got to do that? Do I need a dispensation and so forth? What should we have for dinner? How much food should we order for dinner? So all of these little details.
What did the wise old past master tell you?
Everything's going to be fine. It'll all work out.
It's just
a stated meeting.
Yeah.
Stated meeting with a lot of people. But I didn't. He was right. He was right. It was a stated meeting, technically. But you care about the fraternity, and you want to make sure it's a great night. There's going to be so many people from different lodges, different jurisdictions. You want to make it perfect, even though you can't make it perfect. So yeah, I was definitely on edge, but it was worth it. I learned a lot. I learned how to deal with situations I didn't think I'd ever be able to handle, as far as planning and keeping in contact and organizing something of this extent. And I think that's one of the greatest things of our fraternity. As you go through the line, and I do encourage people to go through the line, is you learn that about yourself, what you can and can't do. And if you can't, just ask the brother beside you, because I got so much help on doing this, and I can never thank them enough. But it was definitely awesome.
So did you actually do reservations with your own members?
We did do reservations with our own members. I wanted to give them more time, like I said earlier, that before I opened up to the public. So I gave them 2 months. I announced it in January because I knew then my first stated meeting. And so I gave them
a week before, when 98% of them hadn't responded yet, and yet they want to come.
They want to come, but for whatever reason it may be, when I really started getting nervous was we cut off the reservations because we were full. And then I started getting calls, emails that, hey, we want to come to your stadium meeting.
Right.
And on top of that, our social hall only holds around 75 people, and we're basically sitting on each other's lap at that point. And so they wanted to come for dinner also. So I was like, I don't know what we're going to do with all these people. Yeah. And so I had called Jack and asked, we usually have dinner at 6 o'clock. What do you think about starting dinner at 5:30? Maybe we can start filtering people through. So, I mean, as far as planning, that's another thing. How do you work with all these people and make sure everyone still has an enjoyable night? So we started dinner at 5:30 instead of 6.
So I have to ask, what was your backup plan if everything went to crap?
Join the Elks.
Well, in all honesty, I didn't have a backup plan for the most part.
Well, you had a 60-year presentation, 50-year presentation,
yes,
and an official visit.
Yes, I mean, we still had... That's very true. I didn't.
It was still a full night.
It would have still been. We had a visitation to 50-year guys, and a past master did a presentation on stamps for the 1969, which he presented to our 50-year members. And we would have had education. I would have came up with 50-year education. I mean, we definitely would have had still a full meeting, but it wouldn't have been to this extent.
I knew about a year ago that I wanted to do in my one meeting for Tall Cedars, I wanted to put on the Yellow Dog degree. Mm-hmm. And I got all these people got excited about it. And I had Glassboro Forest in New Jersey who are like the experts at this degree. They do it from memory. They've been doing it for 100 years. They agreed to come do it. But I just know the way things work out for me. So Chris Gibson and I started reading it and started learning it. And yeah, about a month prior, I got the notification that they had a conflict and they weren't going to be able to show up after I already had like 70 RSVPs.
Wow.
But we got her done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's what you do.
But now with the Bible, I will be honest, they probably thought I was a pain. I was in contact with them at least 3 times a month since last September. I would.
You're still coming. You're still coming.
Yes, I would continue to hound them, make sure, and I try to do it in a roundabout way, kind of. You know, did I add this into what we were going to do for the evening? Can you guys do this? So I definitely stayed on them, and they were pretty tired of hearing me by the time they got up here last night.
Well, let me just say this, because as Worshipful Master, great kudos for pulling off such a significant event.
Thank you.
But this is part of an ongoing piece of what's going on here at Ephrata Lodge. And I, as someone who's not a member of Ephrata Lodge, I just want to say you guys are to be commended for all the things that you're doing here. Everything from the renovation of the lodge. You have 3 floors here, and for those of you that aren't familiar, there's a social hall on the basement level. There's the lodge room level. And then on the 3rd level, there's actually a social area where you have areas for people can come in and watch a game or whatever on a flat screen TV. You've got pool tables. You can smoke cigars up there, as I understand it.
That is correct, sir.
All right. And I've not yet been able to smoke up there yet, so I'll have to
the night is young.
Up there. The night is young. Those are all great. In addition to that, if you are a past master...
Well, you forgot the most important thing.
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to that. If you are a past master and you are in the area in December for their stated meeting where they do an installation ceremony for their incoming master like no other lodge around.
Second Tuesday of the month.
Second Tuesday of the month. I came this past year when you were installed, and I have to say I've been to a number of installation ceremonies, and I walked out of here going, wow. That's the way.
Well, don't let the cat out of the bag that they're not following ritual.
I'm not. No, they follow ritual. Every bit of ritual is followed.
It is a very solemn
Just
event.
some bonus.
Every bit of ritual is followed.
I will say it was amazing, and I was surprised.
Every bit of ritual is followed.
But you looked marvelous.
But if you come to that, you won't be disappointed. But most importantly, they have allowed the Masonic Light podcast to have this as their home. And that it is just amazing, all the things that are going on here. I said to you during the break that if I lived closer to the area, I would come to this lodge.
And I appreciate that.
And we're glad you don't, Tim.
Exactly.
And
I'm sure of that.
Tim always has excuses why I would have come.
I would have.
I would join if I was closer.
I'm literally an hour away from here.
And he disappears for 2 weeks at a time.
So not for nothing, but I'm just going to, because I have the pamphlet in my hand, the guys from Fredericksburg Lodge that presented this and managed the Bible have well, they told us as part of their presentation, they knew they had this Bible. They have this Bible. It's locked up. They kept it basically under a bushel basket for a lot of years, and it's beginning to deteriorate. Even though it's locked up in a plexiglass box, it's beginning to deteriorate because they just didn't understand how to manage it. And the past master last year, or the master last year, decided as his initiative he was going to take it, create a project where they could restore this thing and make sure that it was preserved as the Masonic relic that it is. So the reason that it traveled, the reason that it was available for Todd, and the reason that it's going, I think it's going next to New York, to Manhattan,
Yes.
where it will lay on an altar, I think, right next to George Washington's inauguration Bible when he was made president of the United States. So those two Bibles will be in the same room at the same time. And John Roberts, yeah, we love you too.
Don't cross the streams.
Oh. So, but the reason it's traveling now is so that they can raise money to have it restored and preserved. So what I'm saying to everyone out there is, if you would like to have this Bible at your lodge, it is traveling. It is not an inexpensive proposition because it's not inexpensive for them to restore this book. It is a $2,000 upfront fee for this thing to travel, plus travel expenses for the team that goes as security for the Bible.
Yes, and it's a minimum of 3. They have to be, it used to be just past masters, but now they changed it to past masters or current elected officers.
So they have 3 that travel with them. So again, they stayed locally here. We have a Hampton Inn in town, and they stayed at the Hampton, and so the expenses weren't terrible. It was drivable for them, so they were about 3.5 hours away. But the way to contact them, if you would like to arrange this with your lodge, their website is www.masoniclodge4.com. That's Masonic Lodge numeral 4.com. And you could send them go on their website, send them a message, tell them that you're interested in having the George Washington Masonic Bible to visit your lodge, and they will get back to you and make arrangements for it. And believe me, it like I said at the start of the show, it's probably one of the highlights of my Masonic career was to be a part of that meeting, and it's just something that's so incredibly special. It's worth doing. So if you're looking for an event for your year, this year, next year, whatever, plan it out, because it is a solid year of getting it on the schedule, getting it organized, and that kind of thing. So, Todd.
And I had to laugh while you were talking. I was looking through my emails, and since last September, it was 37 emails.
Yeah.
And that doesn't include text messages and calling and everything else.
But that's what it takes to do a good job as master. I mean, to really do a really step up job. And that, when you were talking a couple of minutes ago about, I really care about this fraternity, and I wanted this to be special, and your passion for this is what came through in this. So if you're out there listening and you have a passion for your lodge, put it to work. I mean, vision without action is hallucination. So get it down, get it done. Just pull the trigger and make it happen. You'll figure it out. There was a lot of stuff that you had to figure out on the fly.
Yes.
And you'll figure it out as you go along. But the purpose of this night with Todd was to just sort of recap what it took to do that. And we thank you for being here. And you got anything you want to throw out at this point?
I'd just like to thank the guys from Fredericksburg Lodge. I can't thank those guys enough for agreeing to bring the Bible here and displaying this this absolutely awesome Masonic and national treasure, and to expose it to people in Pennsylvania.
Did we see Nicolas Cage, by the way?
We're just lucky he didn't take the
He was hiding in the closet.
I thought I saw him.
Yeah, he was hiding in the closet. He kept peeking out halfway through the meeting.
He didn't come on the show.
But yeah, it was awesome. I'll never forget the evening. The standing in the east, looking out over our lodge with over 100 people there. I was in awe. I really was, and I'm not sure if I said something. I'm hoping I thanked all the guys there. The night was definitely a blur, but it's one of the top 3 easily experience. I'd say top 2. The first most memorable experience was when I became master. That will be the biggest thing and the most dear thing that I ever went through.
Does it kind of look like after the prom right now? Doesn't it look like that? He's got that glow. He's just like, I'm so in love.
Everybody gets happy on prom
And he
night.
got lucky.
Everybody's happy.
You too could look like that.
Well, Todd, I will say you mentioned earlier, casually about how much hard work you're doing, and you kind of said, like, oh, it's not a big deal. But I think some of the masters, everybody's got different skills.
Correct.
There's some guys that can just talk for hours when it comes to ritual, and then other things they're totally unorganized. This is the kind of thing where some masters, you need, if you're not that organized and you can't do this stuff, get a good committee. The master should not be tasked with doing all this. I mean, you did it and you did a great job. But in theory, you could have committees that you could assign this stuff to. But you're all looking at me like I've got 3 heads because we know that committees don't work.
You mean like the committee that was supposed to put together the horse race thing for us, the Kentucky Colonels Committee?
So I guess what we've learned is
We
if
had
you
it
want to
together.
do
We just
something,
couldn't find a date.
do it yourself and do it right.
I think you
do
can
it.
have the committees. I think that's fine, but you got to find reliable people to be on that committee. But you still have to. It's your year. It's your responsibility. You have to oversee that committee. and
Just
what they
remember,
do.
This guy's good.
Just remember, when it comes to committees, none of us are as dumb as all of us.
Oh my!
All right.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Todd.
Night.
Oh, Larry's falling asleep. Todd, thank you so much for hosting us in your basement. And we went from my basement to your basement.
Thanks for inviting me on. It's the first time I've ever been on a podcast. It's pretty cool. It's a good time. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
All right. Well, why don't we wrap up with talking about what's coming up in our Masonic futures?
So, as Thrice Illustrious Master next Wednesday night, so it'll be too late for you to RSVP for dinner, but we are putting on the Select Master Mason degree at Goodwin Council number 19. But even more importantly, Brother Troy Shearer is making prime rib and crab cakes before $20. So you let me know if you're coming. We'll have a nice prime rib and crab cake dinner.
Wait, what?
Huh?
There you go. I had you a prime rib.
Oh, you bastard.
Larry, what do you got going on?
Well, Josh and I, on the 18th of April, well before the next show, actually, will be going for our second degree in the Royal Arch.
Most excellent master.
That would be
Most
the
excellent
6th
master.
degree.
Why, yes. Yes,
Yes.
you will.
The
Sixth
mem.
degree.
I believe
The
I will be
mem.
your guide for that event.
It would be
by
the
way.
6th degree of Freemasonry.
I'll make things up again, Josh.
So that's a
like I
biggie
did
for
last
me.
one.
Clean underwear and
Yeah.
yes.
Biggie for me.
Okay, Tim.
All right. Two things that I want to talk about. One is on the 28th. I'll simply mention and allow Jack to pontificate a little more. We have Ubar Grotto in our next meeting. I'll stop there and allow Jack to talk a little more about the program there. But also on the 28th is also the next meeting of the Cigar Lodge at Cigars International in Hamburg, That begins at 2 o'clock, so you can start your Sunday afternoon there and spend a couple of hours and then make your way to Funk's in E-Town.
Or you could pre-grotto at our sponsor.
Yes,
DNS
Cigars. That's correct. A little bit of a conflict there.
Where I played dominoes last month for the first time.
I did too.
All right. Todd, what do you got coming up?
Coming up, it's a perfect plug for Lodge in the Woods.
Here.
There you go.
September 18th. It's a Wednesday. Tickets are $30. We do have an Eventbrite page up that you can go on to. It's a great evening. Usually have around 250 Masons there from all over. It'd be awesome to pack the amphitheater. My goal this year is to get 300 Masons there. I think that would just... If we had to bring in chairs, lawn chairs, and sit up, hey, that'd even be better yet.
No, you're going to stand.
And a steak dinner.
And a steak. You get a steak dinner baked potato, desserts. It's definitely an awesome night. And Larry and Josh, I will be there at your degree for your most excellent master. And I'm scribe in our chapter, so that'll be a good night. You guys are going to love the degrees.
Well, by the way, for Lodge in the Woods,
Yes.
steak night, bring your own knife.
You don't like our knives?
Because they give you a plastic knife
Okay,
to cut steak.
cut him
All
off.
right.
Just cut him off.
All right.
Just
Larry, you're off the marketing
Good
team.
cut him down.
He had too
Sharp
much
knives
cake.
are
Since we're
allowed.
talking about future events, I also just want to go ahead and do a pre-plug for the Valley of Harrisburg Spring Reunion, which is May 17th and 18th. But anyway, with that, Jack, what do you got going on Masonically?
I don't know.
Come on, talk about Ubar Grotto.
Well, first, we've got a couple of extra meetings here at Ephrata Lodge. We're doing 2 firsts tomorrow and a 3rd degree next Wednesday. So Wednesday after you hear this, we'll be doing a 3rd degree. I'm not sure whether I'm involved in that. I think I'm giving the charge. I'm sure I'm giving the Master Masons charge.
The 3rd degree?
Yeah.
I have you guiding.
I'm guiding.
And giving the charge.
And giving
the charge.
And I appreciate your
sweeping
help.
up afterwards. Okay. And then we have the Most Excellent Master at Chapter, where I am also guiding. And then we have Grotto, which Tim alluded to earlier. And our topic for the evening, we're having a guest speaker, George Reppert, will be joining us. George is the social chemist. .com. If you're familiar with George is a wispy.
Easy for you to say.
He's a wispy.
He's thin?
Expert. He's a whiskey expert, and he will be talking to us about whiskeys of the world. So if you are a prophet of the Enchanted Realm or would like to be, please join us at Ubar Grotto on the 4th Sunday of the month at Funk's in Elizabethtown. Bring lots of extra money. You'll need it.
Josh.
I don't mean to interrupt you, Josh. You mind if I jump back in here real quick?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I know. I see you rolling your eyes there. Take a second.
Oh, my God.
I know. It's
one night in front of a microphone.
I know. You unleashed a monster. I actually wanted to also announce that this year I implemented a fellowship night at Ephrata Lodge. It's the last Saturday of every month. And since we have this...
There you go.
Nice.
Everyone is welcome. This month it'll be April 27th. It's a Saturday, and we have them on the last Saturdays. It starts at 6 o'clock. We just come in, hang out, BS.
Smoke cigars upstairs?
Smoke cigars.
Awesome.
Shoot pool.
I'm there.
Play cards. So if you're free the last Saturday of the month throughout the year, come on in. It's a good time.
We got to get Domino's.
Get that Domino's.
And I will say that on April 27th in the morning, coffee and donuts and pizza at my house. One condition:
your old
you have
house
to help
or your new
move.
house?
You have to help move boxes.
Oh no, never mind. Never mind.
So put your home address on the interweb.
Yeah, put your home
What is
address.
that? No, please don't. God, no.
Josh, anything coming up there in your Lamberton world?
I think I'm going to be chairing my first committee of inquiry for a new candidate.
Oh, exciting.
Oh, very exciting.
I mean,
Your first?
that's it. I've been on a committee of inquiry before, but I've never actually been the chair so.
And your senior warden.
Turn them down.
Interesting.
Just say
No,
Say
just
no.
say no. Guard the West Gate.
Yep.
it's not time for you.
All right. I hear some chickens in the distance.
Larry, you got nothing? Oh, he's got to turn his phone on now.
Special thanks to Ephrata Lodge 665 for making this beautiful studio down in the basement under the wine and spirits store. And also to our producer, Josh, for doing an excellent job. Our news director, Jack Harley. By the way, we didn't have news tonight.
I'm going to phone that in.
Phone that in, okay. And Tim, our marketing director, and the rest of the staff and crew.
Nice to have you back, Tim.
Yeah, good to have you back.
Good to be back.
Yeah, keep in touch, please. You know, don't let 2 weeks go by because we thought you died.
They call him Tim.
And just a few remarks. I'm not going to do my usual stuff tonight, so I just want to thank everybody who listens to this show, and our patrons who contribute to this show. Just a whole lot of people who make it work. Thank you for, as we begin, actually, this is our 4-year anniversary as of this week, as of this show.
No way.
Pete and I have been doing this for going on 4 years.
It's good we had cake.
Yes, it's not only Pete's birthday, it's happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Pete.
To Masonic Light Podcast.
All right.
Been around 4 years longer than we should.
This is Larry. Good night. Good day.
Bob, Pete, bye.
Hey, this is Josh.
Walter Cronkite.
This is Todd Hoak.
And this is Tim Dedman.
Have a great night.
Yeehaw.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.